ready for another lesson.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 4 of Back Row Banter. Banter. It's now spelled with an O. I am your host, Adam Schwartz. Joining me today is humble brag master's degree guy himself, Nathaniel Gingrich.
Yo, finger guns.
Finger guns.
Wow, that's aggressive.
That is
It's a new one.
We're bringing a different energy this week.
Second Amendment coming to Back Row Banter.
No. Finger guns are for friends. Real guns may also be for friends, but you got some issues there.
Sitting across from me on the other side of our mic and 2 pop filters that probably do nothing, but we still got him. It's my boss, Tyler Vidalis, with the vibrator.
The boss. Also, the vibrator is a massage gun, just so everybody's clear.
Yeah.
It works well.
It's magic.
I would say that.
Blake, did you try Tyler's vibrator? Is that what you're saying right now?
Why are you going with this?
What's the correct term? So we can...
A massage gun.
Massage gun.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
massage gun. I just
yeah.
thought it
It's
was
a
funny.
Thorogun.
Right. Well, I did use that. I did use a Thorogun.
20-year-old's humor, I'd say.
And it worked well.
Yeah. All right. Well, using Tyler's massage gun is the torture porn enthusiast himself, BlakeHolder. Blake, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Long week.
Long week indeed.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Something new, man.
Yeah, this has become something I look forward to. Throughout the week.
Every
the
week.
past
Sure,
month
yeah.
that we've been doing.
Yeah,
this, so.
I've been very excited, and I tell everybody.
Yeah, got to spread the word. All right. Well, today on the show, we got a few new news stories for you guys. We got 5 news stories, same as last week, and then I give you your new to streaming services. Not a ton this week, because it's the last week of July. And
Trailer talk. We got trailer talk.
we do have a trailer talk for today. I skipped over that. You're right. And then we're gonna go into some what we're watching, and then for our main segment of the podcast, we'll be talking about Green Room. And let's clear the elephant in the room here. Yes, it is not Greyhound. We did switch that up midweek.
The first 3 letters are the same, though.
Yes, so basically it's close enough.
It's a fair trade.
Very different movies, but you could probably learn as we talk about now.
Also, for all of you wondering, it is only on Apple TV, which we knew going into this, and then it just became extremely.
Yeah, so we
difficult
can
to
talk a
get.
little bit about what happened later when we get to it, but
We had to call an audible.
We did have to call an audible, and then we'll do our little entry list, our outros, and that'll be it for today. And then we also are planning on recording a second episode to release along with this podcast. So,
Spoiler alert!
whoa,
Bit of sizzle.
bit of sizzle. Yeah, so we'll be doing our personal must-watch TV shows or TV shows that we really enjoy that we think are worth checking out. That will be episode 5, so go ahead and look for that. Should be up now. But let's get into the news here. First news story, the Russo brothers to direct Chris Evans, Ryan Gosling in Netflix's The Gray Man. So this is a new series coming from the Russo bros, the directors from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that have directed, how many of movies have they
I
directed?
think they're up to 4 now. Civil War, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and then both the newest Avengers.
Yeah, so they have been around for a bit. I feel like they picked up after Joss Whedon left. After Age of
Yeah, and
Ultron,
they
kinda took over a
came
little bit.
from television first of all, so it
Yeah.
makes sense that they might go back to a series rather
Yeah.
than maybe another film.
So
What did they start with on television? If you know.
They did some stuff for like Arrested Development, and then also I think they were the
Which
ones
is also
that did
on Netflix now.
Yeah, and I think they did some of the Community stuff too. I
Okay.
want to say.
I
they
do
did
remember
the,
them. I remember them being part of Community.
Yeah,
in
they
some-
did the
some way.
paintball episode.
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Which were some of the better episodes of
Yeah,
that
those-
series.
those ones are
episodes are
incredible.
great. I remember watching those on repeat when they first aired. So the Gray Man is actually going to be a adaptation of a novel by Mark Greaney. So I can read a paragraph here from the story, which comes from the Hollywood Reporter, by the way, if you want to check it out. The film is based on the 2009 novel by Mark Greaney that centers on Court Gentry, a former CIA operative known as the Gray Man. The film adaptation follows Gentry, Gosling, who is hunted across the globe by former CIA colleague Lloyd Hansen, who is Chris Evans. Seemed pretty interesting. I mean, doesn't seem like all that unique of a concept as far as like CIA operatives or something like that, but it's Joe Russo, and I love Ryan Gosling, love Chris Evans.
Yeah,
so I
say,
mean,
given the names,
this
involved
group
in this,
together,
you have to at least give it a watch.
Yeah, and it's coming straight to Netflix, so it's not like you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, and they've been doing kind of a few more of these. They had, because I know they produced Extraction, which had Chris Hemsworth in it, and then I believe they also produced, I think it's like 21 Bridges or 12 Bridges or something like that.
I think it was 13 Bridges?
Yeah, with Chadwick Boseman.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So they kind of seem to be doing these things where they're kind of staying in pocket with these Marvels guys, which is fun to see.
Yeah,
Glad to know, really.
You know they're all comfortable
21
on
Bridges.
set. They just
21
want each other
Bridges.
work. What's it called again?
21 Bridges, sorry.
Okay, no worries. But yeah, I mean, you know that's going to work, right? Obviously, they kind of have some history together, so they know how people work on the set. So I think that's why they tend to stick together.
Yeah, and maybe it's a gateway to getting Ryan Gosling in the MCU or something like that. Maybe.
Well, he was, or no, you know, I was just thinking of Jake Gyllenhaal. I just subbed that out in my head for a second. I thought I was going to say he was Mysterio, but that was definitely Jake Gyllenhaal. Anyway, next news story. This is a follow-up from a story we had last week. Judge allows New Jersey to keep movie theaters closed for now. So we talked a little bit last week how major theater companies, what is the word?
The big three.
The
AMC,
big three, yep.
AMC, Regal, and Cinemark.
Yes, they sued the state of New Jersey for reopening a lot of their state's economy, but keeping movie theaters closed. The judge in the case decided that it was not unconstitutional anyway for them to remain closed, and has said that they will remain closed for the foreseeable future, citing the fact that there wasn't a lot of legal argument that he felt, and also that the states that have already started opening up their theaters have already started closing them down again because of the health risks that come with
I
it.
kind of wondered as the week went on if this was kind of the direction this story was gonna go. It makes sense. There's nothing in theaters at the moment, anyways. The kind of big ones that they're all agreeing to start with, the Tenets, the Mulans, all that stuff are all getting pushed back anyways too. I personally would be pretty surprised if we get a theater opening before November, December, maybe even next year. And I say that as the biggest proponent of movie theaters,
for sure.
The actual theater experience itself. But yeah,
it's scary for me because the longer these things stay closed, or these theaters stay closed, the less sure I am that they're going to reopen at all.
I think there will always be room for the distribution of films to the actual theaters themselves, whether that ends up being something like the studios themselves start to own them. You know, Netflix has talked about purchasing theaters for the express purpose of giving their films a theatrical run.
That could be interesting. Yeah.
That also
in the
allows
past.
them to be
Oscar
nominated
yep.
for Oscars.
Correct, and then so maybe they might have some sort of a deal set up with the theater owners. A lot of the theaters really only make their money off like the concessions and that sort of things themselves. Mm-hmm. So it'd be obviously a bummer to see kind of like some of the smaller ones go under or something like that. But I don't think this is going to be the end of movie theaters forever.
Yeah, I didn't think that a while ago, but like I said, the longer they stay closed, the more
It's a great point. Yeah.
The more unsure I become of that, because AMC has been in trouble since this whole thing started, and the longer they stay closed, the more trouble they're getting.
There's a giant one next to us, so if they go under, we might be able to sneak in quick.
We're gonna start a Patreon
or a GoFundMe.
A GoFundMe. Back Row Banter buys local AMC. That'll be the next news story we read.
Back Row Banter buys Barrington AMC.
Yep, there we go. There we go. On to the next news story. The Falcon and Winter Soldier release date delayed. So this is the TV show coming to Disney Plus featuring the Falcon and the Winter Soldier from Marvel. They're getting their own TV series that I think is spanning, I want to say 8 episodes, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I want to say it's 8 as well.
But yeah, so that's being pushed back from, it was supposed to be released in August. They didn't have a specific release date in mind. And they have delayed it indefinitely.
So I haven't heard too much about this one. Do you guys know the cast for this one yet? Do we know
It's the same
who's
as the
playing?
movies. So
yeah, it's Mackie and
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan.
Okay.
Is it pre or post Captain America?
Post. It's them.
Okay.
It's them
That's what I
deciding
thought.
who the next Captain America is going to be. Is the general
Which
thought.
is an awesome run of comics.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see, because I think having a TV show with the characters from the movies, because they've had Marvel TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, but having them be from the movies, I think that would be a really good chance for them to really expand those characters in ways that they haven't, especially with Winter Soldier and Falcon, who are two characters that I've always liked, but they don't get a lot of screen time because they're not one of the main Avengers. So
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
like their little bit in the car in Ant-Man where
Mhm.
they're fighting over Captain America.
Yeah.
is hilarious.
great. Yeah, it's really good, and I think
Or is
they-
that
I
Civil
think it's
War?
Civil
It's
War.
Civil War.
it-
That's
yeah,
what it is.
yeah. But yeah, I think they have great chemistry. They really worked well together on screen. I think at the end of Endgame when they had some scenes together, or throughout Endgame, really. Yeah, I'll be
I think the
interested to
rumor
see.
is that they're bringing Zemo back for this one as kind of the main villain, which will be good
Who's
too.
that?
So
I'm not-
he's the villain in Civil War.
Is he okay?
He's the
I
one that
loved
said
that. Yeah,
yeah.
I loved him.
Yeah.
yeah.
And is that going to be portrayed by the same actor?
I believe so.
I like
yeah.
that guy. I forgot his name.
Daniel Bruhl. is
Okay.
his name.
I'm
There you
glad they're sticking to the same actors or the same people who are playing these roles. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the big thing.
definitely.
That's what I wanted to hear. Right? That's why I asked. Because a lot of times, like you said, they do have those other shows on there on Netflix and stuff, but it's kind of hard to separate the two mentally,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And then once you see that everything's the same, it's like, okay, I can understand it's coherent.
I think it's an incredible move for the movie standpoint. There are tons of people that do not read into comic books anymore, that do not know like character backgrounds, the lure of everything, and to be able to put that into a TV show on like a Netflix or something like that, to where people have access to it, it's going to open big doors for them to open big multiverse stuff in the movies.
Yeah.
And I think this is where Disney is going to re-up on a lot of subscriptions again, because I think people kind of dropped off after Mandalorian. And some of the original programming hasn't taken off quite like they thought. Again, as we mentioned when we talked about Disney Plus last time.
Yep, we did
we
like the nostalgia version of it. Yeah, exactly.
We
Now
don't
it's
have
kind
kids
of burned out. Yep.
either, so we haven't really gone back to it. We went back for Hamilton, but then I think this is going to be kind of their next thing where
Yeah.
they start really getting some
It's
folks
smart.
back on board.
Yeah.
Do you know who wins? Is it Falcon or Winter Soldier in the
I'm
comic?
not going to ruin that. How dare you?
It could be different.
That's the whole point.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning the story that it's also got Disney Plus also has the WandaVision series, the Hawkeye series, and the Loki series still in production. This was the Falcon Winter Soldier was supposed to be the first of those, so I'm
Gotcha.
assuming that the rest of those are going to be pushed back a little bit. Although I don't think they don't mention that specifically in the story. And then it's also mentioned here, The Mandalorian season 2 is still on track for an October release. So production for that finished before the pandemic hit. So that is on schedule still for October, which is another good thing to see.
Cool.
Yeah. Moving on from that, this headline got me got me right away, but reading into it, I understood a little bit more. But Calm app to become HBO Max series. For those who are not familiar, the Calm app is something I use myself. It's a meditation app, and it also helps you fall asleep and stuff like that. So when I saw this headline, I was very curious. Essentially, they are just doing an 8-episode run of like scenery and narration from different famous actors and stuff like that to put on HBO. Just have there as for people to put on as like they're falling asleep or whatever. So it's HBO coming in together with the people from Calm. I forgot the company behind that. I think it's Newtopia, something like that. They're coming together. They have a list of actors that they have signed on to narrate. It's Mahershala Ali, Idris Elba, Oscar Isaac, Nicole Kidman, Zoe Kravitz, Lucy Liu, Cillian Murphy, and Keanu Reeves. So decent lineup there.
I don't know if I could sit there and listen to Keanu Reeves talk.
That's interesting. I wish they would have
Time to go to sleep, man.
So, as someone who has the Calm app and I've used it to fall asleep before, I'm actually kind of interested and excited for this because I do put that on sometimes, and having the scenery on my TV as well as I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
would be
Could
pretty
you
cool.
imagine if they put Samuel L. Jackson?
That
on
would
there?
be amazing.
Hilarious.
That would be amazing.
First of all, they need to catch Morgan Freeman on a good day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Idris Elba is a huge choice. I could listen to that
Idris
man's
Elba,
voice
yeah.
all day.
The ones that they have on the app right now that I use is Matthew McConaughey,
Hilarious.
which is
Okay.
good,
Yeah.
and then they have Braun from Game of Thrones.
Jerome
Okay.
Flynn.
Jerome Flynn, yes, exactly. So they definitely have, and those are decent. So we'll see. I'm interested to see where this comes. It's been in production since quarantine started. It's been in quarantine production basically. They started it when quarantine started, and have been producing it. They haven't really given a release window, but it's supposed to be coming out sometime in the next year, a few months or so.
Do you think you could watch something and fall asleep? Because I feel like I could not.
I do put stuff on to watch and fall asleep. Most of the time, I'm not actually watching it, but listening to it and have the TV on helps me fall asleep sometimes.
I just get too engaged. I have to watch it.
If my girlfriend is not here, I fall asleep with my TV on every night.
Yeah.
I fall asleep with silence. I can't have the TV on.
I do white noise, but I don't turn the TV on at all.
Interesting. Yeah, this is not going to be. I don't think any of these episodes are gonna have like a storyline or anything like that. If that's what you're concerned
I
about.
thought they're saying they were like telling goodnight stories. Basically.
Yes, yeah. So they're good night stories and stuff like that. It's not anything you're gonna have to pay attention to and be like, oh, I can't wait for the next episode.
I want to find out what Idris Elba's saying.
Well, you can rewatch these.
See, this is why I'm a Headspace man.
Your Headspace man.
I only use Headspace.
That was a meditation app joke for those of you who are not into meditation apps. Headspace is another meditation app.
Calm's got too much money. They're
Calm,
big money.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
You're too cool for
TVs.
Calm. Yeah.
I'd go for the indie guys.
Oh man. And for our last news story of the day, Tom Hanks says coronavirus left his bones feeling like they were made of soda crackers. So this is a kind of a story summarizing Tom Hanks' appearance on The Late Show on Tuesday night. He finally opened up to Stephen Colbert about his experience with COVID-19. He was one of the first stars or celebrities to announce that he had indeed been diagnosed with it, him and his wife. And so he kind of came out and talked a little bit about what that experience was like, saying that at the peak of it, his bones felt like they were made of soda crackers, and that he felt that you just described the symptoms that everybody's been getting, fatigued and sore and stuff like that, and how he's concerned for the future of the virus because people aren't wearing masks, and he is upset about that stuff. Kind of, I don't know. I like the story. I thought it was a good read, and I was kind of curious what happened with all that because I haven't heard anything about it for a little bit.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he's kind of coming back into the public eye. I mean, I'm sure he's also there to talk about Greyhound, which we are not watching.
Yeah, that was also part of it. Yeah, that was also part of it. Is he's publicizing Greyhound, which is unfortunate because we did not watch it. Well, I did, but
yeah, I mean, you can see he clearly has a gift for descriptive language for made of soda crackers.
Yes, which was not reflected in Greyhound, which I will get to in a second. But yeah, just a little update on Tom Hanks. Wear your masks, people, please. That's not worth it.
Keep Tom Hanks alive.
Keep Tom Hanks alive. And now for some trailer talk. We got Project Power, a Netflix original movie. I feel like that's like a Disney Channel. Saying that makes me reminds me of the Disney Channel.
The ears?
Yeah. Oh my god. They need to start doing
thought of that
Netflix. Just spell out Netflix with the wand.
That was a deep memory.
Yeah, man. Project Power. Yeah, it's gonna be Jamie Foxx with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Coming August 14th to Netflix.
Yeah. Good cast. Good trailer.
Yeah.
I'm sold. I'll watch it.
I'll watch it. I mean,
For
straight
sure.
to Netflix. It's going to be probably one of those extraction level qualities, so I'm not
Absolutely.
expecting anything great, but I'll give
I don't
it a
know. I
watch.
feel like they're gonna take the production value up a little bit more. Extraction was huge production value for the most part.
Yeah.
The CGI was not great,
explosions.
but-
I didn't really think there was a whole lot, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting because there's gonna be a lot of CGI in this. Superpowers are happening, but yeah, I think it's a cool storyline to go from for a superhero standpoint.
Yeah, so anyone who hasn't watched the trailer, go check it out. But the premise of the movie from the trailer I got is basically there are pills now that can give you a 5 minutes of superpowers, basically.
Yeah, you get 5 minutes. They don't tell you until later that you could die from the first time you take it.
Because
You don't know what your powers are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Everybody
so
has a
that's the
different
catch.
power,
Yeah.
and so you don't really know what your power is going to be, and that's kind of the premise. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He hasn't been in a lot in recent years. He hasn't been anything big since that tightrope walking one.
Okay.
Really, I don't remember the walk. I think that's what it was called. Yeah. At least I don't think he's been anything big.
No, I think his biggest thing last that I
couldn't
watched
tell
was
you.
Batman.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. The Dark Knight. Dark Knight. Is that Rises?
Rises.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the last thing I've seen him in. Obviously, Jamie Foxx is well known. He's on that
Yeah, he's
small
good.
list of people who can sing, act, pretty much do whatever you need to get done. So he's super talented. So I'm expecting it'll definitely be a watchable movie.
Mother
Yeah.
Effer Jones.
What'd you say?
Mother Effer Jones.
Oh, I don't know. Should I know
Angry
that reference?
Bosses. That's his name in Angry Bosses.
For Jamie Foxx, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Oh my god.
But I guess that did come on, probably 2012, 2013?
Probably something like that.
I'll give it a watch.
You were 12 years
sometime.
old.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch. New to streaming for the week. Like I said before, not a ton coming because August is usually when all that stuff starts coming out. The last week of the month is going to be a little bit slower. But Netflix, you got Signs coming. Nathaniel did a fist bump.
Yeah.
For all listeners, Nathaniel did a fist bump.
That's a big one.
Signs is great.
I love Signs.
Signs scared the shit out of me before I ever saw it.
We just talked about this the other day. That was like one of my first
I'm pretty
big
sure
scares
it's
for
also
like
on
aliens.
HBO Max, but I could be wrong.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I was in 4th grade. It came out, and my friend Nick saw it, and I made him tell me about it. And then my parents went and saw it. I made them tell me about it, and them telling me about it scared me so much that I didn't want to see it. So my parents had to tell me it was a comedy. And then just subject me to that hour and a half of Mel Gibson running around the house.
That's fucking crazy. We also got Spotlight coming.
Love Spotlight.
Yeah, it's 2015, I think. Won Best Picture.
Yeah, it did.
2014 or 2015. Definitely a solid movie. Mark Ruffalo is really good in that. So is Michael Keaton. The Umbrella Academy Season 2. Any of you guys watch Umbrella Academy?
I did. Yeah, I watched
Did you
it.
like it?
Yeah, I really liked it. It's really fun.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I'm interested in it.
It's written by the lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
Interesting.
What's the premise of Umbrella Academy? I've seen people talk about it a few times. But it looks
It's
kinda
basically, there was at a certain point in history, and I can't remember exactly what the date was, but a bunch of, 100 women or something like that instantly became pregnant and then gave birth. And the people that they gave birth to overwhelmingly had superpowers. And so this rich eccentric guy buys literally pays the mothers off for
Adopts.
Adopts quote unquote
Finger quotes.
a bunch of the kids, and then he tries to create his own super team.
It's like X-Men,
as their
basically.
kids. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, that's what it
that's
sounds
the
like.
vibe I was
to me.
getting.
It's a
was
riff
like-
on X-Men,
yeah.
sort of on that, but then they grow up, and the series kind of starts with him passing away, and all the kids getting back together, and one of them's dead, and another one's addicted to drugs, and they're all kind of hanging out. And it's
Yeah, you get to see the big family struggles of they
You watch
obviously
it
had some
sometime?
really rough childhoods. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's fun.
Dude,
it's
It is.
really
It
fun.
is. It is fun. Yep.
They have an ape butler or a monkey butler.
I remember seeing an image.
It's a
of
good
that.
watch.
Yeah.
I might check that out, actually.
Yeah,
it sounds pretty good.
definitely.
Amazon Prime, there's nothing new really coming there because Jeff Bezos hates us. Hulu.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos is the one keeping us down.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're watching this,
We need sponsors.
Yeah.
So.
If Jeff Bezos would like to sponsor us, we're
Yeah.
fine with that. Call him too. I'd be okay with you
Yeah,
then.
call me. If you need us to narrate anything, I'm there.
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller.
Yeah, he was from a few episodes
Yep.
ago. Still
Was
waiting on that call.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that email. Anyway, Hulu, we got Bolt coming, the classic animated movie from my
Is
childhood.
that the dog one?
Yes, the
Yeah,
dog one.
that's a
The
good
dog
movie,
one
yeah.
that thinks he has superpower. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Dude, Bolt's great.
John Travolta is a dog.
Miley Cyrus plays a little girl.
Yeah,
never
Miley
saw
Cyrus
it.
does.
I've
But
You've never
saw
seen
it.
Bolt?
No,
I watched it consistently.
well, it's on Hulu. You got no excuses now, Nathaniel.
not interested. To be honest with you.
And then HBO Max, you got Harriet. That came out last year, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Do you any of you guys see that? I have not.
No, I know it scored an Oscar nom, I think, for the lead actress.
I think
but
that's what it was,
I
yeah.
didn't see. I didn't get a chance to see it. It didn't have a big release.
Yeah, it did not.
There was not a wide release of it.
And I
Not
don't remember
that that's
seeing
an
a lot
excuse, but
advertising or anything for it either, so might be
Definitely
worth a
worth a
watch. Yeah, we'll see. What we're watching, guys. Tyler and Nathaniel, what are you guys up to?
we finished Evangelion.
You did finish
We did.
Evangelion.
Yeah.
It is time. We've both watched it already, so
Yeah, you might hear
Yeah.
you might hear that reappear in the second episode. But who knows? Bit of sizzle.
I actually just finished watching How to Get Away with Murder
Okay.
on
Okay.
Netflix. My
Thoughts?
girlfriend and I have been watching it for a while. It's great. I really, really
That's
like it.
Viola Davis, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, it's got a lot of twists and turns in it. It's actually really cool to see the law side of it,
Mhm.
and the thriller side. But yeah, it's a good watch. I love it.
Not
Solid. Blake?
bad.
Any
Yeah.
torture porn this week?
No, not this week. Not this week. I finished Death Note for probably about the third time.
The live action one or the anime?
The anime.
The anime.
I can't stand the movie.
Okay.
That's probably because
Yeah.
I watched the anime first.
I've
Sure.
heard the movie's just awful.
Which is
It's-
okay.
it's-
Yeah, the anime is way better than the
Yeah.
movie.
No, I have no
Facts.
problem. Yeah.
Most people I know who like the movie saw the movie first, and they're
Okay.
it's a cool concept because
Okay.
the concept is really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I finished that, and then also yesterday I watched The Dark Knight because that was the 12-year anniversary. I believe.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Nice.
Yesterday.
That's
So
a good
I-
rewatch.
Yeah,
What
give
a
that a
time.
rewatch.
I remember when that movie just came out. And
Yeah, it feels like it was.
I think
not
we've
very
talked about
long
that,
ago at all.
We talked about this in the top 10 episodes.
I think so. Yeah.
Or sorry, top 10 episode. Not
Top 10
episodes.
movies.
Yeah, top
Episode.
10 movie episode. But yeah, I remember that release date as well. I was 8 when it came out.
That still hurts to hear.
Yeah, let that sink in for
I
a
think I
second.
just threw up in my mouth.
But yeah, I fucking love that movie. I need to give that a rewatch soon.
Yeah.
I need to give that trilogy a rewatch because I haven't seen all three of them back to back to back. Since probably Dark Knight Rises came out, so it's gonna be a good rewatch for that.
Yeah, it's always worth a rewatch.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's
Heath
it.
Ledger.
He's
it's phenomenal,
he's
right?
mesmerizing.
Self-explanatory. Yeah.
Some would say he's the
incredible.
best actor of his generation.
Yeah, so your brother and I are fighting now.
We're gonna live stream that fight on the Back Row Banter Twitter.
Yeah, you guys, you can. It'll be a pay-per-view. You can watch it.
Fight Island.
Fight
Call us
Island.
Dana.
God. I
What's
have
like a
been.
small fight pond? What's a small island? Fight like atoll or something.
I have been watching a bit of stuff. I mean, kind of all over the place. Continuing to watch of Avatar. I think
How far are you now?
I think I'm up to episode 12.
Okay, how you feeling?
It's getting there. It's like you said. It's taken some time to get to that really good point in the first halfway through the first season. I think I'm getting to that point where it's ramping up a little bit. Starting to get some backstory for Prince Zuko and Avatar, what he was like and stuff like that. So I'm getting into it.
You don't have the nostalgia glasses that I think Tyler and I do, where we enjoy those first kind of 15 episodes as like our introduction as to
Reliving
the
my
series.
childhood.
Yeah, and I can see how that would be a little bit more difficult. I really think it picks up once season 2 hits.
Okay.
But there's still some great stuff in season 1. Obviously.
I'm not gonna give up on it anytime soon. I'm still enjoying it enough to keep watching it, and I'm hoping once it gets to season 2 that it does ramp up for the point I'm like really into it. But until then, we'll see.
It's a very easy watch, regardless.
Yeah. It's a pretty chill watch. As far as what else I'm watching, I watched a movie, but I forgot what movie I watched.
Quick question on the anime. Do you guys watch your anime dubbed or subbed?
I mostly go subbed, but
I
I also watch all my movies with subtitles, so I'm used to them. So I feel like I can read them faster than a lot of people can, or like
You're more used to it, basically.
Well, yeah, I'm more used to it, and then what sets people off is they can't read it that fast.
I prefer subbed, but have ever since I've been rewatching anime, just been watching dubbed because I can go on my phone and stuff while I'm watching anime. Because usually I'm watching it at night, laying in bed. I'm not trying to like super focus and watch a show, and you can't really do that watching the subbed.
Yeah.
So I'll throw on the dubbed, and I know it's not as good, and I prefer the subbed, but it is what it is.
Just curious.
Ty, you're the biggest anime guy
Yeah,
here.
for me, it really kind of depends on what you're watching. If I'm watching something for the first time and I know that it originated overseas, there's a good chance I'm going to watch subbed first because that's how it's intended to be watched.
Yeah.
There's a lot more information you catch.
That's a good point because for my sort of online rewatch, I watched it all dubbed, but when I watched it originally when it first came out, like in 2014, I watched the sub, so I knew going into it when I was watching the dub, I knew that difference there. I think that's a good point.
Or where you're at in your journey. If
Yeah.
you're like my old roommate Rob, shout out Rob, what's up, dude?
Hello, Rob.
Who does not watch a lot of anime, you are probably going to want to start dubbed because it is a much easier way to get into it.
It's just easier to consume that
Yep.
way. But I'm with you guys for the most part. I mean, I usually do subbed on my first watch. Once I understand what I'm watching or on a rewatch, I'll usually just watch dubbed. So Death Note, I dubbed it.
Dubbed it.
Yeah, that kind of ties into what I watched this week too, because I started watching the Studio Ghibli movies, and because I haven't seen any of them except Grave of the Fireflies, and everything except Grave of the Fireflies is on HBO Max now.
Yes.
So last night I sat down and started watching Howl's Moving Castle, and it's good, and I really enjoyed it, but I think I'm gonna actually switch over to the sub because I got about an hour into it before I was just like, I have to go to bed. I think I'm gonna switch over to the dub because what I've been reading online from a lot of people are saying like the dubs for the Studio Ghibli movies are actually pretty good. You know,
That's what I've heard as well.
Yeah, I know like the Howl's Moving Castle has like Christian Bale.
Yeah,
and
they got
stuff
some good
too,
actors.
So.
Yeah. As far as the night, I remember the movie that I watched but forgot. It was Cleo from 5 to 7.
Ah, yes.
Yes. So I watched this. My brother invited me to a watch party with his friend, where we all pressed play at the same time on HBO.
Is this the brother I like or the brother I'm fighting with?
This is the brother you're fighting with. Yeah, this is the brother you're so we all played press play at the same time and then started texting and stuff like that as we were watching the movie, which was hard to do because it was in French subtitles. And it's a 1967, I want to say.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
French movie, so it does have subtitles and stuff like that. I can't say I really liked it. I don't know how to feel about it. It was a very different movie. I'm not a big older movie fan, personally. I kind of appreciated them for what they are and what they were for their time. But as far as like, I don't think a movie before 62. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. I don't think a movie before 1970 will ever get into my top 10 movies of all time or anything.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim.
That's
I don't vibe with
right.
that kind of movie. That's
New
style.
goal.
All right, yeah, no, that's a challenge. That's a challenge.
and not saying that I have anything pre 1970 in my top 10, but yeah, I don't know if I'd go on that
I don't
branch.
vibe with it.
It's a tough hill to
as
die
much.
on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm willing to die on it like Nathaniel's willing to die on his Heath Ledger hill, but
It's a good hill to die on, though. I'd say
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
for clarity's sake, for listeners, I am putting Nathaniel on this hill. He does not actually think Heath Ledger is.
Yeah, so
is
you want to
the
go into that
greatest actor.
backstory a little bit? I think in like episode like 1 or something, or it was either 1 or 2.
It was episode 2, the top 10 list.
I said that Heath Ledger was the best actor of his generation.
could have been argued. that
Well,
he
no,
was-
in the episode I say
Okay.
best actor of his generation, and I still stand by that. I think had his career continued, he would have been. I think given his report card at the time of his demise, of the guys that he came up with, he's the one that I think is the best actor of his generation. Your brother does not agree with me on this,
At
and
all.
I tried to
He's also-
explain it
He's
to
also
him.
wrong.
Yeah, I tried to explain it to him, but he's wrong, and so now we're gonna fight.
Right.
And that's that's the story. So you're up to
So,
speed, listeners.
Yes, you're up to speed. Yeah, so Cleo 5 to 7, I thought it was pretty solid.
It's not a movie that you think, oh, I've got an evening free, I'll watch Cleo from 5 to 7.
Yeah, it's not one of those. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I want something lighthearted. It handles some pretty heavy tones too, but it was only 90 minutes, so it's not that big of an investment. So if you got some time on your hands, I think it's worth the watch, but it's not something I'm going to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, it was made in a time when the camera was just starting to turn towards the realistic image and really getting this focus on realism. And the French and Agnes Varda was a great big part of that.
Yes.
So this is also at a time, when the modernists are starting to write more and starting to have that influence on there, and it's making its way into the film world from the world of writing and the world of psychology and stuff like that.
And like I said, I can appreciate these movies for what they were at the time.
Sure.
And in 1962, I'm sure this movie was way ahead of its time, fantastic production, everything like that, and it still holds up in that regard for the most part. It still holds up today. So I do appreciate it for what it was at the time.
Sure.
And then that's definitely something it has going for it. And then the last thing I watched, which will help us transition into our main segment, I did watch Greyhound. So let's get into the story a little bit, Nathaniel. We can talk about what happened here.
Sure.
What was it, Thursday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thursday night we were thinking about having a watch party, the four of us, to get together and watch Greyhound since we needed Apple TV Plus, which none of us had. And we were like, all right, well, let's just use one subscription and we'll all get together and have a good time. And then Tyler had to go.
I had to take care of something.
He had to take care of something. Blake had to take care of
something else going on.
So then it was like, Niz and I were just like, hey, I got nothing. My Thursday night's free still, so we decided to come on over and we go to get Greyhound, and Apple TV Plus is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, so we managed to have all Apple devices for the most part at least owned by me, and none of them can connect to the television.
Yes, so
and none of us have a new enough television for the Apple TV Plus app.
correct.
So at that point, I gave Adam a couple options, and I said, "All right, you're in my world now."
He legitimately said that, by the way. That was 100% quote from Thursday night. He said, "You are in my world now," and as the 20-year-old kid in the 28-year-old apartment.
Wow. Okay, I didn't think it needed that slant.
This
All right.
got dark.
Yeah, and I'm 27. Stop giving me a year.
Sorry. So then Nathaniel comes up to me and says, do you want to watch Prisoners or Green Room? And I was like, I think we should say Prisoners for the podcast, and then we watched Green Room, and we ended up just doing Green Room for the podcast.
Great.
Calling the audible there. But I felt bad that we told viewers to watch Greyhound, and I was like, I have an Apple TV and could just watch it on my TV. So I did give it a watch 2 nights ago with my dad. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit in case anybody went out of their way to go watch Greyhound. Overall, I'm kind of glad we didn't do this as a review because it was underwhelming for me. It was serviceable, but it was an Apple TV Plus movie. You guys can kind of gauge that level of quality there.
Was anything on a real set? Excuse me.
Yeah, so I watched the special features of the making of it. They filmed for 2 weeks they filmed on an actual World War II cruiser.
Okay.
And so they got a lot of wide shots and a lot of shots of the crew working the guns and stuff like that. That's what they did there. And then a lot of the film is shot in the bridge or on the rails around the bridge and everything like that. And so they shot that on a giant ass gimbal. They built a set on a giant gimbal and had that
Which
thing
is
be
kind
able
of
to tilt and stuff like that.
The same technique they use for the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Is that? Okay.
Yeah, so I wondered if maybe they actually shot it on one of those rigs, because I think they're still standing.
Yeah, no, they did. It was in Baton Rouge. I don't know how I know that, but it was in Baton Rouge that the rig was that they filmed in. Little fun fact for it. But yeah, Tom Cruise overall.
Tom Hanks.
Sorry, Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're right.
Not Tom.
You know what? I said cruiser earlier. I think I just got some wires.
I was gonna say, have we been saying that the entire time?
No,
anyone got it right?
Thank you for the correction there, Ty. That was a quick one. Tom Hanks.
It's another Eli Roth, Zachary Quinto scenario.
God damn it. Tom Hanks is pretty good acting wise in this movie, but he did write the screenplay, and you definitely notice it. I don't know what it is. I kind of had hopes that he'd be good at writing. Has he written anything really much before?
I think he might have written That Thing You Do, but I don't know.
I'm gonna search up his writing credits on IMDb really quick. But yeah, I mean the writing wasn't anything special.
What was Papa Schwartz's review? Because Dad's notoriously loves
Papa
submarine movies.
midway through throat goes, "This is really good." I was like, okay. And
Just kicked off his New Balances.
his white New Balances. Let's make
His
that
jorts
correction.
are tight. His socks are
His
extended.
beer is warm, everybody. Yeah, so I'm trying to look up his writing credits. That's let's see. Greyhound, Electric City a short TV series, Larry Crown.
Oh yeah, I've seen Larry Crown.
Okay, Magnificent Desolation, Walking on the Moon. That was a documentary short. Band of Brothers. I guess he did one episode.
Yeah, he produced Band of Brothers with
Okay.
Spielberg because
that makes sense
came off of Saving Private Ryan, so he probably got a writing credit
That's true.
or something
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
point.
From the Earth to the Moon, another TV miniseries in '98, and then That Thing You Do in '96.
Yeah.
So he's got some writing credits. I just expected more out of him, but
What was the writing that you didn't like about it? Was it his dialogue? Was it the way the scenes were kind of set?
it
how
was
it
more
unfolded?
more the dialogue. It was just
Okay.
very one-line dialogue, very, and he had those action, those war movie lines for the trailers. You know, like he had those sprinkled in. You could tell it was
This line's for the trailer.
basically, and there was just very little character development outside of Tom Hanks. It was literally, it's a 90-minute movie, pretty quick run through, and Tom Hanks has about a 5 to 10 minute scene in the beginning with what's her name? Oh man, I forgot. My dad pointed out that he liked the actress. I think her name was Elizabeth Shute or something. Elizabeth Shute. There we go. It's
Piranha's own Elizabeth Shue.
yeah, it's like a 5 to 10 minute scene with her that gives you a little bit background of who he is, and then you're just in the middle of the ocean, and it's him battling submarines.
Is he in Captain Phillips mode the way we kind of were concerned?
I wish.
Okay.
I wish. He is a little bit, but I think he goes way more into it in Captain Phillips. This is more him screaming orders for the most part. I mean, the action for what it is pretty good.
Okay.
I love World War II, and this is, I think,
Controversial statement.
okay.
I'm just kidding.
You know what I meant, listeners. You didn't know what I'm. Okay. Anyway.
You like movies set in World
I
War
like
II.
I like the setting and everything like that, and I think it was an interesting and unique story to tell. I don't really know any other U-boat stories or TV productions.
There's a pretty famous one called Das Boot.
Is there?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's before 1962, so I'm not sure you can like.
Yeah, I'm never gonna.
I
Yeah,
don't know that it's
no chance for me.
So then, for the sake of the podcast, I mean, would you recommend it? Not recommend it? If you had the thumbs up, thumbs down.
I would say it's not worth going and hunting down TV or Apple TV Plus for.
Perfect.
So if you have it, sure. You know, it's 90 minutes. It's not a huge investment. But if you don't have Apple TV Plus and had no plans of going out and getting it,
Not worth
I would
it.
say it's a pass.
Hey, Das Boot came out in 1981, so there's
Oh, there's a chance.
There's hope.
There's
yeah.
hope yet.
I was gonna say U571.
The one with McConaughey.
Yeah, like that's
Alright,
like one of
alright.
the most favorite ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't see neither of those. But I have to give those a watch because
Down Periscope.
Okay. You know what? You got
Kelsey
me.
Grammer.
Just like a lot of submarine movies I haven't seen.
Down Periscope.
Oh my god. I'm just getting hounded. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
I'm getting greyhounded.
Oh.
Yeah, I like
Segue.
I like that one.
Yeah,
Segway
so
king.
overall, I would say it's a pass. And yeah.
If you have Apple TV, would you
If you
check it
have
on?
Apple TV, sure, toss it on. It's a nice 90 minutes. It's Tom Hanks yelling and one
Who
thing
doesn't
I
love that?
yeah. One thing I did like about this movie is the supporting cast and like the crew members and everything are extremely young. Look about my age, some of them, and which is realistic for the time.
I was gonna say that
which I
plays
really
out.
liked.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is something that I've seen. I think we've seen a little bit in other World War II movies, but really came to life in this one. Everybody was so young. It was also weird, I would say, the first time I saw Tom Hanks with the captain's hat on and everything like that. I just kind of thought about him in Saving Private Ryan, and then it got me on the rabbit hole of, if this is in the same World War II universe, how is he in two places at once?
There's the Tom Hanks twin
Yeah,
out there.
there's just a Tom Hanks doppelganger out there commanding a cruiser. But yeah, I would say it was fine. I don't know. Don't go out of your way to get Apple TV Plus to watch it.
All right.
And the end of that. On to Green Room.
Green Room. So this is the one that I chose.
This is the one that Nathaniel chose. He had it on Blu-ray, but if you want to go watch it, it is on Netflix right now.
Yeah. Correct. Funny story about this one. So, like you said, we were originally going to watch Greyhound, right? And then when you guys mentioned, like, yeah, we're going to do Green Room, I ended up watching this Thursday, too, without even knowing you guys.
Oh, really?
Like, I was just
Really?
laying in bed
Wow.
trying to find
That's
something.
funny.
And then Friday, you're like, yeah, we're just going to move it to Green Room. I'm like, oh, yeah, perfect. I'm like,
That's
awesome.
great. So yeah, we'll do our little spoiler plot summary. Nizza, you want to take that over?
Yeah, so this is Green Room. It came out 2015. It's directed by a gentleman named Jeremy Saulnier. I think he's really good. He has another movie called Blue Ruin, which is also available on Netflix. That's kind of a revenge tale. He also had a movie that came out for them, Netflix exclusive for a couple years ago called Hold the Dark, I want to say, or Wait Until Dark.
I can look that up for you.
I think it's Hold the Dark. But he's sorry. I just lost my place there. Completely lost my train of thought. Starring Anton Yelchin. The big kind of reveal is that Patrick Stewart is in this, which I actually asked Aish because this is a very different Patrick Stewart to what we're seeing. If he was expecting it, he said no. Yep. Imogen Poots is a great name, but also a great actress. She is also in this. But it basically centers, the IMDb summary is a punk rock band is forced to fight for survival after witnessing a murder at a neo-Nazi skinhead bar.
That's pretty...
Quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
Sets the scene pretty well.
Really quick, it is Hold the Dark.
Hold the Dark, okay.
That he directed, it's 2018.
Yeah, I really like that. Not for everyone, though.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he's going to be really great. I really hope he does more fun stuff. Anyways, back to the movie. It is more of a suspense thriller, I would say. It's not particularly scary, because that was one of the things that when we found out we weren't watching Greyhound, I said to Aish, okay, do you want to go horror? Because he hasn't watched a lot of horror. And he was like, yes. And I was like, all right, we got to ease him into this, though. Yeah. So this isn't quite torture porn, but it is pretty grisly in some bits.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's horror, but...
yeah, it's definitely a thriller.
It's a good thriller.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So reactions. Nizza?
Yeah, I love this movie. I saw it in theaters for the first time. I had followed Saulnier since Blue Ruin. It's a movie that I saw it in theaters. I came out. I was happy I was back on solid ground. I remembered...
One of those,
yeah. I remembered the feeling of just kind of, again, that release after the film was over. There's points in this where I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I'm so in. I'm so involved.
100%.
No one is safe. And it's also a movie that I saw it in theaters. I came out and I went back the next day and saw it again. So big old thumbs up from me. That's probably why it's also one of my kind of like my pick. I was like, Adam, I can't wait for you to see this.
I mean, you got it on DVD. I would hope you.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of movies on DVD.
Blu-ray, we do not watch DVDs in this house.
They are still compact discs. So
Blu-ray.
Anyways, awkward.
So how did you feel about it, Tyler?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I saw this closer to when it came out in like 2015. I really hadn't seen it up until when I rewatched it today.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a really great thriller. It's a really easy watch for the exact point that you said. It's not quite horror. It's definitely a good watch to kind of segue into horror if you're really trying to step into it. But yeah, I thought the scenes were shot really well. It's another kind of small movie, shot in the same place. So, but yeah, thumbs up. It was great. Watch it.
Blake?
I'm with you guys. Thumbs up. I like it. This is probably the second or third time I saw the movie. First time I caught it was on Netflix maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. But it's good. I like it. Like you said, not really a true horror. It's a good thriller. It's one of those where you don't know what's going to happen next, but their characters are always making like good decisions. And it's not like the stupid cliche stuff going on. And I think that's why it's really watchable when you're on your seat.
Yeah.
But I thumbs up it for sure.
Yeah, I agree. This was my first watch, so I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I had some visceral reactions to some of the stuff, as Nathaniel could tell you. One thing you said that I really agree with is it doesn't really follow any cliches. There were a lot of points in the movie where I was thinking, oh, this is probably going to happen. And it just, nope, the complete opposite happens. It's very real. I feel like a lot of the events that happen feel very real and feel very possible for people in that situation, and it doesn't follow a lot of classic movie tropes, which I think does it so much justice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it all takes place over about a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
And there's a certain point in the film where it stops. There's no more time skips. Everything basically plays out in real time. And it just goes. There's a certain point in the movie, and you all know it when you hit it, and the movie just kicks into gear after that, and it does not stop. And it just ratchets the tension just higher and higher and higher and higher.
Yeah. So definitely a thumbs up for me. Thumbs up all around. So definitely give it a watch. It's on Netflix. It is a shockingly low hour and 35-minute watch.
Yeah,
which I just saw that on Green Room, and I was like, oh my god. Sorry, I just saw that on IMDb, but... Because it felt a lot longer than that just by how much they build up the tension, how long those scenes play out for.
There's some really, really great stuff that he does in there that I think just makes you feel very in the moment with it.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go into spoiler talk. Definitely check this out if you've not watched it yet. But Nathaniel, let's finish up the rest of the plot here a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll give it a kind of a breakdown. So the band, they're a punk rock band. No one very much knows where they are. They make it very clear there's not a big social media presence. They talk about how wanting to be in the analog and everything needs to be live, and they're kind of dicks about it. So it starts off with you not feeling that on board with them. You like them because they're the main characters, but they're
but
also
you're not rooting for them.
You're all you can't really relate to them. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. And then they play this gig because they get kind of forced into it, and it turns out that it's a kind of a neo-Nazi bar, which is apparently common in the punk world.
I guess so.
These things happen. It takes place kind of in the Pacific Northwest, I want to say.
That's where I got the vibe from. I'm not sure. I tried to look at one.
Because he says you have to dip kind of close to Portland or something at one point.
Okay,
so they're definitely up that way. Anyways, this band that they're coming on after has murdered someone in the green room, and at that point, the whole band gets locked in there, and Patrick Stewart, who is the leader of these neo-Nazis bar and who owns the building, the establishment that they're at, then starts to kind of terrorize them and get rid of them so that they can wash the slate clean and make sure that no one gets in trouble, because it's revealed later in the film that they are actually on top of a heroin ring, which Patrick Stewart is running. I don't want to give away too much more. I mean, it is spoilers, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, we'll just by talking, we'll spoiler it a little bit more. That's the basic story.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. So, like I said, go watch this movie at this point.
Yeah, double warning.
Because there are some deaths we're probably gonna talk about. So.
Yeah. So final spoilers. That's it. We're into the spoiler zone now. Most of the band gets murdered.
Basically, yeah.
Quickly too.
Yeah, the film does move quick, even though it feels like an eternity because the tension is so high.
Yeah, I felt the opposite. I felt like because the film was moving quick, I felt like I was probably sitting there for like total 45 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You felt like
I was running the span very fast.
I think that might have been because you were rewatching it. As someone who just watched it for the first time, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Sure. And even when I came over, you still had 30 minutes left, and you watched it right before we started recording this. The last 30 minutes did not feel like 30 minutes. So to your point, I think it might just be the rewatch fact that you know what's going to happen. You're not as tense. Because it didn't feel short at all for me. Nathaniel, what do you like about this movie? Like, what are some best parts that you see?
For me, it's the way. Saulnier has a very interesting concept that he talks about in some of his movies, which he calls the inept protagonist. So in this film, it's Anton Yelchin who plays Pat. who's kind of he's the lead guitarist of the band, I want to say, and he's your kind of point of view character, but you do experience the band as well, and you see it in Blue Ruin as well. But the characters don't always make the best decision, which we kind of talked about earlier. We were kind of like, oh, they make good decisions. Yeah, they make they make good decisions in the context of the world, but those decisions don't always work out. So like people fall down when they're running outside, or you slip and fall and you get injured and you have to retreat, and it becomes this kind of siege movie where these people make very realistic but also choices that you can understand them fucking up in the moment.
And that's part of why I feel like this movie is so real.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's to the point I was trying to talk about earlier, is it doesn't fall for any of the tropes. It feels very real. I mean, they try to escape 3 times basically, and each time they have to retreat.
Yeah.
And it's like the first time they go out, I think there's 6 of them. The first time they go out, they come back and there's only 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like 3 of them die right away.
Right. Yeah. They what is it? They break out, right?
Yeah.
When they put together the plan where they're going to open the door, they throw the glass, right? Yeah. So like you can tell they're pretty smart on what they need to do.
Yeah, there's
right?
a couple times, especially early on when they're negotiating with Patrick Stewart, where they're like, wait, think about this.
Exactly.
And
they're playing scenarios out.
Yeah, because they've captured one of the establishment's bouncers basically in the room with them, and he's got a gun, and so they get the gun away from him. One of the guys knows jujitsu, so they have him tie him up basically, and then there's all this kind of thinking and stuff, and the whole time the tension's just getting higher and higher because you don't know what's going to happen, and then it all sort of breaks when Pat goes to hand Patrick Stewart the gun, and it's revealed that he has had 3 or 4 guys outside with machetes, and they mangle Anton Yelchin's arm, and
dude, that was so graphic.
You can tell.
Dude, Nathaniel could probably tell you guys when I'm just on the couch squirming as the guy bends his arm backwards.
Oh yeah, simultaneously, Reese the drummer is snapping the bouncer's arm in a classic armbar position.
Which was awesome.
But I like that scene though, because the band's even smart about in that, right? Because they're like, well, wait a minute, should we really give him the gun? And then one of the characters are like, well, we're not gonna be able to shoot our way out of here, right? We don't know who there are. And then even what's is it Amber? I believe that's her name.
Amber's the blonde.
Right?
Yeah, Imogen Poots.
Right. So then she goes and she looks under the door and she only sees 1 pair of shoes.
Right.
Right. And then as the door opens more, she can see more outside into the hallway, and then she realizes, but it's too late.
It's just so smartly written. Like there's that great scene where the lights go down and everyone's freaking out, and so she lights a cigarette and puts it in the bouncer's mouth and says, "Hey, if the cigarette moves, do like fire." Yeah. And like it's so tightly written, so smart. Everyone is a great performance. It's just this great little nasty genre piece. I'm so excited we're talking about it.
Tyler, what were your thoughts on the movie?
I thought it was great. Like I said before, I thought the roles were really cool. You get the enforcer, the negotiator. You know, when they're going back and forth, like give them the gun. We'll make sure we get a phone.
Right.
And you kind of see the back and forth there. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like they're kind of in their own hostage kind of game, which is pretty cool. When the first attempt does come about, you can see that his hand just gets
Maltzed.
That was tough.
So
and their plan is to kill the band with machetes, because they're going to frame them as trying to break into this guy's house next door who has attack dogs. So they're trying not to shoot them. They're trying not to do it. They're just trying to cut them off so that the dogs can then go to them and make it look like an accident.
They were trying to siphon the gas from
Yep.
But yeah, I think that first attempt really sets the tone for how this movie is going to go, because you really don't think it might go that way. But yeah, and then when they turn off all the lights and then they finally make their way out into the hallway, I like how they turn off the music. Or actually, they have the music on, and they set up kind of like this house of horrors kind of deal, and you really don't know like what's gonna pop out, like, what's gonna happen.
And that's something I really like is, again, it kind of harkens back to this being a very real movie. They're all so scared shitless, and you can tell. And then at some point, they're just like, fucking split up, every man for himself, fuck it. And then you see the dog, and the dog goes and attacks the first guy, and you're just like, holy shit.
Mangles his
just,
the guy jumps out the window and he gets knifed.
Yep.
That was another rough one.
And that was another point I really liked, is that they killed the leader or strongest guy of the group. Because after they did that, it was just like, well, fuck, what are they going to do now? This guy's been, kind of heading the group the whole time.
But even something like the stabbing, it was so real.
It's so quick. It
catches you off guard. He does this great thing where he photographs non-fatal violence for longer. So the bit it's awesome the way he sets it up because Anton Yelchin is reaching out the door. You only see the point of view from Anton's side of it.
From the room.
From the room.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you don't see what they're doing to his arm. You just see him screaming, and then he pulls the arm in, and it's so much worse than you think it's going to be. And then he lingers on that. But when you go to the character Reese's death, who gets stabbed, it's so quick. It's punchy. It's in your face, and it's just this very smart technique of keeping you invested while also never really feeling that you're ever safe.
Right.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I love it.
Yeah. So then to follow that up, right? So the first attempt, they all break out. What is it? 2 of them end up dying, and then 3 more retreat back.
Correct. Yeah, I think there's 5. They lose the
2.
drummer and the lead singer,
yes.
and then the girl and
the 2 girls and the guy. Come back.
Aaliyah Shawkat. Sam.
So then they come back
Amber,
and they're like,
come back. Reese and Tigger die.
right. So then from there, they're okay. We're gonna have to kind of reconvene here and figure out another plan. So then from there, their plan was they knew there was a shotgun underneath the.
Well, they didn't really have a plan, so they were kind of in that room, and then they send 2 guys in to go get them.
Yeah, because they get the dog to run away via the feedback, and so they send the dogs back in after them. And again, just such great writing where the guy that's breeding the dog says. Well, Patrick Stewart says, send 2 in. And he goes, no, they're fight dogs. What do you think's going to happen if I send 2 of them in? And so instead they elect to send these guys in. One of the guys is revealed was going to run away with the girl that was killed. And that's why he had stuck around, and also partially why, or in doing so, he leaves his car, which has a bat that was used in a hate crime, and he was going to turn it into the police, and I was going to get rid of Patrick Stewart's gang and everything. And so by him going in, they realize that he's turned on them, so they kill him. The red laces, the bad guys kill him, and then that's their second attempt of getting out. Is him trying to lead them out.
Yeah,
And then they see the
right.
shotgun
He goes
under
to
the
grab
bar.
the shotgun,
Correct,
right? And then they just blow his head off.
Yeah.
That catches you off guard.
Again,
Wait.
Yeah, right.
Another-
Again, you think a strong character is going to be there to help them.
Exactly.
He even states, "I can get you guys out."
Yeah.
And they're talking
And then-
strategy. It's like, there's the quarry on both sides, a river on both sides, a quarry. We can parallel the main road or something like that, and then just bam, it's done.
Face off.
Yeah, face legitimately shredded.
Well, it's good because it's realistic, right? Because then after that, then they get the gun. Obviously, none of them are going to be the most adequate using a gun. So then they try to, okay, fuck it, let's just go out the front door and shoot back. And none of them land any shots.
Right. Well, they just immediately get
and they just get gunned down.
And that's where they lose Sam, because she also gets
she
attacked
misses
by
a
the
shot
dog.
at the
by a
dog.
dog. Yeah. Because Darcy, he yells like, "Wait, no guns!" and they send the attack dog.
Yeah.
They give the
Well, right.
attack
So
dog
they're
command.
okay with shooting Amber.
Amber, because
Correct.
she's not part of the band.
Correct.
Because the reason that they can't have the band just disappear.
Correct.
Yep.
Because everyone knows where they are because they're a band.
Right.
So that's the kind of thought process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what? That sends them back in.
That sends them back
to the
in
room.
to the climax of the movie where they play paintball, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I really liked that story.
Yeah,
Oh,
and that's
for sure.
that's a great scene too. I was noticing on Tyler's rewatch where, again, he's always setting up these little tension moments, because right before Anton Yelchin gives this story about paintball, which was basically they were at a bachelor party. They were teamed up against these ex-Marines, and the ex-Marines were just wiping them out, which in the metaphor is the neo-Nazis. And then the only way that they were able to overcome it was one guy just going crazy and not playing by the rules and going out there. And so that's what they decide to do. But as he's kind of setting up that story, he's holding his arm. Tiger, who's still alive at this point, is wrapping it with duct tape. But then Reese, who's the drummer, who's the jujitsu guy, is like, guys, we gotta go.
Yeah.
So he sets this little kind of timer that you consciously hear, where the guy's wrapping the tape, but then you get so lost in the story that when Reese breaks in, it snaps you back out of this kind of like loop that you fall into. So again, you're never safe. He's always setting up these little timers that are always gonna run out.
Yeah, the storytelling I think is fantastic too, because you slowly start to learn. It's never revealed really who these characters are. I mean, not completely revealed. Where you sit down and say, "Oh, this is Darcy's backstory."
There's no exposition done.
There's no exposition, and they just give you totally enough to learn what's happening and what's going on.
Yeah, the story is told. The story of the characters is told through the plot of the film.
Exactly, and so you find out why that person was murdered in the green room. You find out who killed her. You found out all these relationships just by dialogue.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not direct. It's not in your face. It's very small. I mean, they give you just enough to believe in it, to understand it, and to enjoy the movie from it. Basically.
Yep.
Very, very smart. And the character development too.
Yeah, they're fully realized. Like again, this you're the drummer Reese, who's the jujitsu character. Like they set that up earlier in the film, where he goes up to a promoter and almost like smashes him because the guy failed to get them a gig. And then they each one of them, their own little roles are so well developed, and so you know who they are. And when they make these choices, they feel realistic.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Very, very good movie. You guys have any closing thoughts or anything you guys want to add here? Or?
No, I just thought the paintball story was really cool setup.
Yeah.
I love his little one-liners.
It's a very funny movie.
Yeah, Yelchin's one-liners. Like when they first see him go crazy, he's like, "Who is that?" And he turns around and you find out he's got like war paint on. He shaved his head. He's wearing one of the neo-Nazis' jackets. And then he just turns around and they do a very close-up shot of his face, and he just says Odin himself. Yeah. And then he just jumps down this hole, and then this chaos ensues.
Yeah, right, Shazbot.
And then again later, after they get like the final kill on the guy, on one of the characters that's down in the basement for them to get out of this horror house. He says flabbergasted that motherfucker, which I think is just great because you're like, who says that?
He's such a distinct person. Like I know that guy. Just that punk burnout that's just so friendly, but just like mixes up with the wrong people that you just know in high school. And he's great.
Which I think another character that is played really well is Mac and Blair. He plays. Dave. You can tell that he is one of those people that got caught up with the wrong crew because of who he knew. He's been there for a long time. They didn't give him like any kind of recognition in the neo-Nazi field, which is where he wanted to be. And so at the end of the movie, you tell that he finally essentially turns on them and basically is like, I don't want to go to jail. I want nothing to do with it.
Right after getting his red laces too.
Right.
So.
Well, and he Macon Blair. He's actually best friends with Jeremy Saulnier, so he's in all his movies. He's the main lead in Blue Ruin,
right?
Yeah. And so he co-produces this and stuff. So he's actually a really good actor. I like whenever he's on. I think he's actually directed a movie now too, which is also on Netflix.
Interesting.
So. There was one other thing I was going to say, which you had started with.
The other thing I was going to say is their interview that they did at the beginning of the movie is playing on the radio at the end, which I thought was just a really cool wrap up to kind of give you that beginning to end story feel. This is where it started.
Full circle.
Yep, exactly.
And
so it was really cool.
My question is Creedence Clearwater Revival Pat's Desert Island Band? Because they've kind of set up at the start of the movie that everyone has a desert island band, and at the start of it, the punk band's all saying all these punk names, Minor Threat, the Misfits, all that kind of stuff. And then about halfway through, before they're about to make their charge, three of them go, "Oh, Prince, Madonna, and Slayer." And then Anton Yelchin's character Pat can never come up with his band, and then finally at the last line of the movie is, "I think I finally know what my band is."
And Imogen Poots says, "Tell someone who gives a shit."
And then Creedence Clearwater Revival starts playing in the credits, which I think implies that that's his his band.
I like that. I'll go with that.
But yeah, I thought it's a very funny movie, which you don't realize on the first one.
No, it definitely is. It definitely has some lines where it does so well to relieve the tension too. Yeah. Where you're kind of like, oh, haha, that's funny, but then immediately someone
flabbergasted that motherfucker.
It's fantastic. All right, we have to put this on the entropy list.
I mean, I'm gonna argue for number one, but
I also like number one.
I think I'm gonna go number two.
I'll go number two as well. I still got a rival.
We got a stalemate.
We got a stalemate. All right, who are we gonna call? We gotta have a tiebreaker here. We gotta call somebody. Justin, would Justin answer? He's seen both these movies.
He's got people over.
This is tough. Flip a coin, or what are we doing?
Are we gonna
have
okay for the good of the group going with
you know what? We're gonna form two teams here. We're both gonna present our arguments. Nathaniel and I.
Okay.
No, I'm just
we're debating.
We can do a really quick debate here. Can we have to convert one of the other two?
Do you think? Okay. How are you gonna go about this? I want to hear your arguments. Because I've talked a lot.
This is like fucking paintball. It's just like, you got the ace on the team.
Okay, so here, I'll propose this then. So, I mean, obviously we're kind of at a stalemate. What do you think would be the better film to the masses, right? So, people sitting here, like, you had to watch Arrival and Grimm. What do you think they'd say is the better film?
I think most people are going to go Arrival.
I'd probably agree.
I would. I think it's more appealing because it's not a thriller, and some people might not be into that kind of movie. As far as the quality of the movie, I do think Green Room is better. I think it has. I mean, I don't know about better directing because Villeneuve.
He's a mastermind.
Yeah, he's great, but like the storytelling is so good, the tension is so good. They're very different movies, and that's the beauty of the entropy list, right? Is that you have all these movies that don't match up really well.
Correct.
If we really want to go by the masses, Arrival is also categorized under a thriller on IMDb.
You know what? Let's do this. Let's do this for
IMDb
tiebreaker.
has a 7.9.
I was gonna say we can
And
do
Green
the
Room has a
7.0.
7.
Okay, we can do that as tiebreakers as look at reviews. Okay, so we're gonna keep Arrival number 1.
Yeah,
Room
I
2
think
then?
that's
I'm not too upset about that because I do love Arrival, but I think I enjoyed this movie a little bit more, and I think it was pretty good. But I'm not upset with Arrival beating it out.
And we can make changes to the list.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think Green Room is going to be above there for me. I probably think Prisoners, maybe Blade Runner 2049 might be better than Green Room, but Green Room will always have a personal place in my heart just because of the kind of experience that I had with it too, which is what movies are all about. So that's good.
Exactly.
I think that has to be part of your factoring in when you're watching this movie is first experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I'm also saving my passionate argument because I'm sure one day there's going to be one that comes up and I'll be like, this is not 34. This is 33.
Sure. All right, well then Arrival number 1, Green Room 2, The King of Staten Island 3. Fair enough. That is it for
That's a
Green
good
Room.
list because the King of Staten Island's not
Dude,
that bad.
as I was saying, I was like,
I got 3 here.
Staten
So
Island.
right.
No, I like the list we got going so far. Solid. All right, that is it for Green Room then. Moving on. Do we have any new 5-star reviews?
Oh, let me check. Actually, I think I'll have to grab my phone. Pause for a moment.
You know what? I'll cut this out.
Pause for station identification.
I'll cut this out.
Pause for the cause.
All right, we're back. Nathaniel grabbed his phone. We grabbed some sparkling waters because it's 1,000,000 degrees in this room right now.
It's very warm.
It's not that bad.
But that's another one for the Back Row Banter drinking game because we all just cracked.
Yeah,
three
I'll put that
waters.
in just for you guys. 3
Thank you.
shots, that is.
Boosh. Not Bush, guys.
Looks like we got one new review on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, so we've got 13 5-star reviews, guys, but you have not left comments for them except
Thank
for the
you
one.
for the 5-star rating.
Yeah, but
But
feel free to say something.
Always say something.
Yeah.
Even if it's negative.
Yep, 5-star reviews, and I'll read them out.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the 5-star reviews. We still get bumped up regardless of what your thing says.
Yeah.
So
Send us a DM on Instagram, Twitter, email us. We do it all, folks.
Yeah.
You can beep me.
What is that review there?
So the beep we got, the review this week from Kay Vidales, which I would imagine is of Tyler's relation.
Probably my sister.
I would imagine, yeah.
Hi, Kara. Shout out to Lance, too. I know she wanted that. That's her cat, by the way.
What up, Lance?
So,
And it says, the best Vidales of them all. Yurt, thank you for making my lunch breaks so much better. You're welcome. We're here for you. Also, I'm ready for my feature on the podcast. We'll get back to you on that. It's
we're not ready for guests quite yet.
Yeah, the back row table does not have a 5th side at the moment, but we're working on it, folks. We're working on it.
Pentagon tables are not easy to come by.
And we can't do anything other than 4. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. You got to have a
just
spot
makes
for them.
sense.
So we'll see you soon.
Well, please feel free to leave a 5-star review, regardless of how scathing it is. As long as it's 5 stars, we are going to read it.
We're going to read it.
Unless there's profane language. Then
Even if it's profane, just don't say anything mean about people.
I'm pretty sure we've said fuck at least 8 times.
yes, but
Yeah, there's some special words.
there's some special words that people out there can be creative with that I don't really want to feature on this podcast.
Agreed.
All right, our next topic next week. God damn, we did it again. We didn't discuss what we're watching. Do we want to watch Blindspotting? Is that what we decided last week?
That's on HBO Max.
HBO
Easy to
Max.
get.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That'll
All
be
right.
since
Done deal.
I did Green Room. You got your Blindspotting.
Yeah,
to advocate
so we
for.
talked about last week. Blindspotting made it to number 6 on my top 10 list right after we recorded the top 10 episode. I'm very excited for this one. I think I'm excited for you guys to finally be the people to watch for the first time instead of me.
Yeah, that's true, because the last 2
episodes. Yeah.
And that's a musical, right?
No, it is not.
No.
No.
Okay.
So it does have some rapping in it. It's
Okay.
David Diggs. He raps. He's in a band and he's in Hamilton.
Okay.
So he does some freestyle and stuff like that, but it's not a musical. No.
Okay.
I'm
Gotcha.
very excited for that. That is on HBO Max. So go please check that out. And then we'll see you guys there for that. Follow the podcast.
Also, tell your friends about the podcast.
Oh yeah, we'll go there first. Share the podcast before you follow the podcast,
Yeah, please.
or after.
If you got a friend that you think would like us and would like listening to us, please take their phone and download it for them.
Yeah, and then leave a 5-star review.
Yeah,
from their phone.
Yeah, and let them say what they want afterwards. But,
yeah, 100% force your friends and family into watching us or listening to us.
Well,
that would be
them,
great.
Yeah. Please. Word of mouth is how a podcast gets spread a lot of the time.
It does help.
It really does help us out. Trying to get this off the ground a little bit. So yeah. The show tags. We are at Banter Row on Twitter. Still at Banter Row. Will I ever change it? Who knows? At YouTube, we are Back Row Banter. And our email is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com for any of your questions, concerns, and comments.
Anyone emailed us yet?
Miles Teller, that's about it.
What?
It's an empty and cold email box.
It is an
folks.
empty and cold email box.
Fill it with some
please,
warm, fluffy emails.
Please do so. Also, I was able to get the links for these plugs in the description of Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Even
cool.
easier.
Cool, yeah.
Or sorry, I think they're in.
Show notes or whatever.
They're in the show notes of YouTube. No, not YouTube. I forgot which one it was. But look in the description. The links are sometimes there, depending on where you're listening from.
Perfect.
Nathaniel,
that, man.
where can the people find you at?
You can find me at Twitter and Letterboxd. That is at NSGingrich, GINGRICH, and on Instagram at NathanielG92. I'm there most of the time. Sometimes on most places, but most of the time I'm there.
Facts.
Tyler?
Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter. You can find me at Tyler Vidalis.
He has finally has a Twitter.
Yeah, have you tweeted yet?
I haven't.
Have you letterboxed yet?
Yeah, I've been playing around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you logging or just reviewing on Letterboxd?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's been a lot of fun.
Solid.
But yeah, that's Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES, and then sometimes, like we've stated, I do Twitch. It's not very often anymore. I might have to rethink that, but that's El Trabajo 87, ELTRABAJO 87.
Mr. Gingrich has his hand raised.
I do. I have a question.
Yes.
Also, for folks that don't know, Letterboxd is a movie review site. Basically, it's kind of a social media for movie nerds. We all have one. You can basically log your films and all your films that you've seen before. You can see other people's. That's where is the entropy list on there?
The entropy list is on my Letterboxd, which is at Aish, AYY.
Yeah, and you can create your own lists and that kind of thing.
It's basically a social media app for movies.
Yeah, and it's spelled LETTERBOXD. So if anyone doesn't have one and think that sounds interesting, by all means, go get one.
And go follow us.
Yeah.
Blake, where are you at?
So yeah, following into that, I mean, you can go ahead and follow me on Letterboxd on there. That's going to be first and last name. That's BlakeHolder. I'm still working on doing some reviews. I just started my Letterboxd probably maybe 3 weeks ago when we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just logging stuff. I probably should try to get around to at least leaving some comments.
Mm-hmm.
I've never left a review.
I just left a review for Clio 5 to 7 when we
Okay.
talked about it last week. I was like, I should leave a review for this.
How
So I
long
did.
was that? Did you just give like a few sentences?
I gave about 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
I gave like a non-spoiler thoughts and then a spoiler.
You see
Okay,
people, they
fair
leave
enough.
bullet points. They do like
Right.
2 sentences.
Yeah,
you know.
it's nothing huge. It's not your.
There's a great Twitter page that's insane Letterboxd reviews. If you ever want a fun time, go read
I
those.
think I've been thinking about doing that. Is finding Letterboxd reviews for the movie that
Yep.
we review and then read it at the end of the main segment. We'll think about that. And then I'm at Schwartzy on Twitter, and then at Letterboxd I'm at Aish. Sorry, at Letterboxd. Letterboxd I'm at Aish, and then I'm also Aish on Twitch and YouTube. So that's gonna be it for
Perfect. That a
episode
wrap?
4, boys. We gotta get the AC cooking
That's
as
a
Blake is
wrap.
fanning his shirt, and I am soon to be stripping because I am so warm.
Next episode, After Dark.
Next episode after dark.
BRB after
Thank you
dark.
guys for listening. We'll
Thank you
we'll
so
BRB.
Yeah, thank you again, guys. BRB.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for listening. BRB.
I'm America. Ready for another lesson.
I wanted to show you this real quick because you're like one of the only people that I think would appreciate this.
Is that the vibrator thing?
It's
That's the massage.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like
Is that your
small
vibrator?
one. Yeah.
How do you? Let me try this. How do you use this?
How much was that?
It's usually 200.
Okay.
I had $70 in rewards, so it was like $80 for me.
That's nice.
Nah, it's totally worth it.
I need something like that.
Yeah.
Dude. They're perfect. Just like this fucking cream soda. It's fucking perfect.